It's Jacob at Kinnettic Kreations here. Today we have a Polaris Ranger 1500, brand new machine that just came out. It's pretty fancy. We gotta do a blinker kit on it. Here's what comes in our kit. If you opt for the lever, it comes with our lever, our bracket, and then we got some bushings and screws. The final ones may not look like that. That's just what's available in our local hardware store. And then the module that plugs into it. So our lever will plug into that connector. And we got, for a rear harness goes there, front harness, and that's for the dash indicators. Everything's labeled. If you opt for the toggle switches, we have this module. Those three plugs are the same. You got the front, the rear, and the dash indicators. And then you have your turn signal, hazards, and horn switch. Of course, all of our kits come with a horn. That's the front harness. Plugs in our module, and then options for 4 LEDs and the horn. Here's our dash indicator harness. That comes with every Polaris and Can-Am model. That plugs right into, pin these in the back of the instrument cluster, and this plugs into our harness. Here's the rear harness. This one's specific to this Ranger. It plugs into both taillights. We got a connector for optional license plate light, and then one plugs into the factory connector in the back, and then of course that one plugs in our module. And then we have our light options. So first you can get an 1.25" round LED. It's got 6 LEDs built into the circuit board, so it's pretty bright. Then we got the smaller one, the 3/4 inch. It's got 3 LEDs built in it. You can either do 2 or 3 of them. We have these splitters, so you can plug 2 or 3 into the front. Otherwise, we have this nice little smoke guy. It's 3/4 by 4 inches, and it's got 6 LEDs on it. It's pretty bright, and it likes to blend in. So this machine, I'd probably mount one here. Otherwise, the round ones, we're going with the round today. We're going to mount the round one here. And then you also get an option for a side marker. You can either get one of these big ones, one of the small ones, or a smoked one. I always recommend putting one on the side of your machine so you can get visibility from the side. So we're probably going to put one of these round ones somewhere up in here, depending on what's behind it. So that's what comes with your kit. Now we're going to get started on the install. Step 1 in the back is removing the taillight. So there's 4 Torx bolts, 1 up top, 2 in the middle, and 1 at the bottom. They require a T30 Torx bit, so we'll pop them 4 out. Gently pull the side of the box away from the vehicle, and your taillight will come out pretty easily. Kind of hooks in there from behind. I'll unplug them both, put them in a safe spot. You don't want to drop these. But our harness, we'll replace this connector on both sides. And on the right side, the passenger side, if you will, we'll actually plug into that connector. So what we got to do is follow the factory harness down and around here, and then we go up the middle of the vehicle. So we're going to pull a couple of fasteners out of the bottom of this bracket on the side box, or the box side, and then we'll be able to feed the harness through. Something loose and now it's fucking working again. Piece of shit. Let's throw it hard again. Alright. Phil edited all that out. Once you get under here, there's a bolt right there to pull out. There's a T40. So you need another Torx bit. And then, is that flex enough to get up in there? We can pull one more out. I will pop one more out. Then there's another bolt further forward of it above the tire. It's a T30. If you pull these out, then your bedside flexes enough to get your hand up in there with the harness. So you can, oh yeah, lots of room. Then underneath here where the harness goes above the heat shields, there's some 10mm bolts. We'll pop 2 out on the driver's side, and there's 1 on the passenger side behind the, or on the other side of the backup camera. Two there and 1 down there. And now we'll put the rear harness in. Oh no, wait, hang on a second. This split here matches up with that split. Oh, yeah, other one. So put the rear harness in. The split in our harness should match up with the split in the factory harness. And we'll route passenger side, or the driver's side, I mean. Alright, well, this main junction of our harness matches up with the factory one. And the short end goes towards the passenger side, and the long end you can fish over the heat shield. A plug for our license plate light comes out about the camera. And you just keep fishing it up over the heat shield here. Basically just follow the factory harness. The factory harness loops around here by the sway bar. Or no, that's a pivot for the box, whatever you want to call it. Now we'll tuck it up under here. Should pop out in here once you fish it up there just right. There it is here at the bottom. There, so then I'll plug into the taillight and we'll abandon the driver's side one. Squeeze around to there. And on the passenger side, same thing. We'll route up here. Follow the factory one. Pop up there. So now what we'll do is we'll plug this one into the factory harness and the taillight. We'll mount the taillight back on there. And we'll tuck it back in there, safe out of the way. And along the taillight there's this ridge that hooks behind the bed, which is why it's hard to get out without loosening the bolts. Perfect. And there's also a little ridge here that matches up with the metal. So the red should just go on the outside edge of the metal. And your hose will line back up.
Connector might be in the way back there.
What's that?
So I think that connector.
Yep, so now we'll put our bolts back in with our T30 Torx bit. You don't have to hammer it too tight, just snug her up.
These ones on the top, right?
Oh yeah, those one up top. sure we got on video us fucking this up. It's all good. There you go. Those are all tight. I'll plug this one in. On this side, you got to make sure you're plugging in our harness, not the factory one, so that one will shove down below or something out of the way. You do a good job making sure that it's always there for you.
Yeah.
And the same thing, we'll tuck the bottom in first.
Stop.
And the next thing we'll always do is, I like to secure our harness to the factory one, so we'll get some zip ties, and we'll zip tie along this corrugated one, and we'll get that heat shield put in. Then we'll start routing this up to the front. Always start at the joint, and we'll zip tie it there, and then we'll work our way out. That's pretty good, and then we'll go the other way. We'll get it where it comes out the other side of that heat shield. Not gonna catch nothing. Go grab a zip tie down. Pop them all off. Those bolts. We're using the flush cutter to cut all the zip ties off. This plug hanging here is for a lighted license plate bracket that we offer. A good spot for it would be down here somewhere. It's visible from the back, and it would be protected from the bed folding up. It's always fun mounting something to the bottom of the bed. Comes down, hits a tire, hits a muffler, hits the frame. For now, we'll just tuck it up in there because this customer doesn't need the license plate light right now. So we'll tuck it up in there. We'll slam our 3 bolts back up for this, and then we'll start routing that up front. And last but not least, you can't forget your bolts in the corners for that. Next, we're going to drop the front skid plate so we can route the harness up front. This thing's got one massive plastic skid plate. Then you got this one here, which is on top of this metal one back. Is this metal or is that plastic? That's plastic. Right? That's metal. Oh, that one's metal. Yep. So you got a metal one underneath the engine area. You got a plastic one and this big one. So hopefully we can just get the front one off and not have to worry about taking this other one off. Because if this one comes off, that means that one has to come off. But we'll see. There's a whole bunch of these 10mm headed bolts, and then it also is pinched by the plastic trim along the bottom of the doors. with these T40 bolts. So we'll pull them out. We'll give you a final count, but basically if you take the bolts out and it's not falling yet, you missed a couple. All right, so we got the front skid plate out. There should be 10 of your T40 bolts, 5 on each side, and then however many that was of the 10 mil hex bolts. And we popped the metal skid plate off too. It's got what, 6 or 8? Those big ones?
7.
7? So there's 7 of those. Those take a 13 millimeter socket. But at least now we can follow this through here and down and then route it along the bottom. So start fishing, just feed the connector through. Okay, so I feed the connector through wherever the harness is going. So and here it comes down by the engine block, and we'll follow these oil hoses up front because they go past this one skid plate and up here. So we got it hanging down here by the engine block. Now we'll route it above this skid plate, which you could take off if you want. We just didn't feel like taking one more off. There we go. Success. And we'll just route it above the frame rails on this side, following these oil lines and battery cables or whatever they got in these nice little tracks. I made that fucker long. Added a few feet to our normal length, but I guess we'll make an extension if we have to. Still got lots of cover.
You want it on top of this?
We'll put it in a specific spot later. Now we're trying to route it up here. A couple oil and air conditioning lines that come up through there. Might have to take this cover off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Too much shit in the way. That one looks easy to get off with a couple 10 torque screws.
It's actually right there.
Oh, really?
Yep. I can feel it with my finger.
Keep stabbing, I'll go in little cavities.
It's got to be right there.
There we go. I see it. It's burning. Crowning, right? That's the word. There we go.
Oh, shit.
That's right there. Okay. That was way easier than I thought it'd be. Alright, we'll fish it all the way up and we gotta figure out where we want to go from here. So you brought it along all the, looks like some oil cooler lines, there's some air conditioner lines, and it's come out of this spot. So we got to run this cable across in there. And our goal is to come up to this grommet where the battery cables go. So what we've done is we take a nice thick 8-gauge wire, shove it through where we want. Now we're going to tape the connector to it and pull it up. Alright, so here's our cable. It came up through the hole there. We shoved it through the grommet and put the grommet back in place. So now our cable's routed. All we have to do is zip tie it. Next we're going to get in the dash here. This whole top piece comes off because we need to get access to the back side of this, and then we're going to mount our lever, which the cable runs inside the dash, and we got to connect it all. Alright, so to get back in a dash, there's some of these Torx bolts behind. On this one is camo, but they literally just pop off.
Let me get right in here.
So get some plastic up in there, and then pry a little bit to get your fingers in there, and it pops straight out. So. Here we go. That gave us access to a couple of these screws. So we'll pop them out. That's a T40. There you go. And on the driver's side, the nut has to come off the key switch to get this piece off. It's sandwiched between two pieces of the dash. There we go. Alright, we'll take that up and over the shifter if we can. Or just leave it. Hang on now. We just need to get to that bolt. And this piece comes off. So pop our T40 bolts out. Good, there's 4 more so far. The first time taking one of these apart, so we're going to figure it out as we go. Alright, so this definitely needs to come out, this hood latch, or this windshield latch. It's 10 or 13 mil. It's a 13 mil. That thing was secure as fuck. Take this out. Of course, underneath the windshield latch, holding the dash in, you got to pull your rubber crap holder out, I guess. There's 4 more T40 bolts. And then also up front here, we have popped this side piece off. We'll show you how to do that on the other side. There was 1 bolt here. And then underneath here, holding the fender on as well, was another bolt. And then, look this up. Under here, if you believe it, there's 2 more. So in this 1 foot at the end, there's 3 of those Torx bolts holding it on. So we're getting there. Probably 50 bolts holding this stupid dash in. All we want to do is run a wire from the steering column out and then get to the back of this. So we'll pop these out. This piece just pops apart. It kind of clips into there and then it clips down there. So if we pull straight out, it should pop out. There's a plastic one. Okay, so pop straight out.
Oh, that just pulled.
Oh, yeah, you got to twist it down.
Yeah.
So it kind of snaps in place right there. That's exciting. So yeah, there's a bolt here. And then there's 1 right in there, and then there's 2 more below this. That one. Here you hop inside now. I think after, I think this is about, we gotta be pushing 20 bolts, right?
Yeah.
You think that this thing is about ready to come out, so I guess we'll try.
No.
How about that middle piece? So at least stamp up. Alright, so now we're going to get in here in the instrument cluster. It's pretty easy actually, there's only 2 clips. You got to pry it at the side and pop straight out on the bottom on both sides. And it just pops right up. So there's 3 little clips here that hook in there, and then these 2 white guys. Oh, fuck you going. These 2 white clips here snap down into there. So you just pull it straight out and up, and then there's 4 of these quick rivets in the corners to get that out. All right, something out there. And the whole cluster pops out, and then you just got to unplug it. The back side there's a gray connector, and there's a clip you got to squeeze on the bottom. Sometimes you have to push it in, squeeze it, and then unplug it.
Doing it wrong or something.
Push it in, and you gotta squeeze the clip really tight, and then it'll pop out. There you go. See, that thing's a fucking hole. Alright, now to wire our dash indicators in, we gotta pop this back cover open. In the corners, there's 2 little tabs that you just gotta pry up and open. Now they already have 1 through 5 and pin 8 filled, so you gotta take out those 2 blue cavity plugs in the top row. And then we gotta take the front lock off. On either side of it, there's white tabs that hold it in, so you just push in on the white tab and pull the lock gently out. Doesn't have to come all the way off, just one position out. You do that on both sides. Alright, then our harness has the wires labeled pin 6 and pin 7. So green is pin 6. So the yellow will go next to the yellow, and then the green will go in the other hole. Once they're in, you can snap the back cover shut. It's a little tricky. Here, stupid covers. Flip it over, make sure your wires are in all the way. Maybe do that before you lock it. And if you push through too far, just pull up on the release tab gently and shove it back in. Make sure they're all lined up, and then the dark greenish, clearish cover goes back on. Wrote that down. We have run. There's an extra grommet here on the left of the one they're using, so we ran our cable through it. We're going to tie our Pull that red one up. We'll tie this to it, and then we'll also tie our lever to it. So we'll just let it hang for now, and after we mount the lever, we'll tape them both to it, and then we'll get it yanked through there. Now we're going to put our lever on the steering column. There are 4 holes down here that the cover, if I can remember the words. There are 4 holes down here where the cover attaches on. They use a T25 bolt. You only need to take out the 2 at the top. We already took them out of here. So now we'll install the lever. So you'll have to gently spread the bracket out and go over the column. Hands out of the way. And then there's some spacers that'll go in the hole above the bracket, and then longer screws to replace the ones that were in there. This part's a little tricky. You gotta line everything up with the hole in the bracket, the spacer, and then the hole in the column. And next you'll want to run the cable on the top of the column here. And we'll run it out the hole we ran our red cable through with the dash indicator plug. So we usually fish a wire through and then secure it with tape and hook it around the harnesses so you can pull it back through easier, especially in a dash like this where you can't get your hands down in there. So I should be able to feed it through. When we got it fed through, we should be able to put the dash back together. So you want to plug it back in, set it down in its home, and then put your quick rivets back in. And you put that dash cover back on. It's 3 tabs go on the top, and you got your 2 white locking tabs at the bottom. Alright, so get the top parts in, make sure your buttons are lined up, and you kind of push down and in. Is that center there you go. The center was caught up under the dash on that one. There we go. It just locks right in there once everything's lined up. So the interior is done now. So we're going to go under the hood here. We already took one of the fenders off. We'll show you how to put the lights on it and mount our horn. Up here now we have our rear harness, we have our dash indicators, and we have our lever connectors. Now we're going to mount our front lights. The first one we're going to mount to the hole right there. Yep, so we'll center it as good as possible, and then we'll mark the other side the same. And then on our fender, we want to put our hole about in the middle. But you always want to be wary on the back side that you don't drill into something, so you need to make sure you're centered in between those two. Yeah, so you don't want to go where the bolts are, obviously. So we'll, on this one, we'll actually drill from the inside first. We'll center it with the bolts, and then we'll take that measurement to the other side of the machine when we do that one. So we drilled a 3/4 inch hole for all of our round lights. Our smoked ones take a 5/8 hole, or just enough to get the connector through. So you gotta pop the gasket down, put the connector through the hole, snap the gasket into the hole. A little tight on this one with the double layer of plastic. Once you got your gasket in there, you just push the light in, and the light helps lock the gasket in place. So to mount our lights, we drill a 3/4 inch hole, pull the gasket back from the back of the light, just put the connector through, snap the gasket in. And shove the light in to hold it in place. For our horn, we like to find a place that exists already to mount it. There's not much room underneath here, but if you come over here, this bolt on the side of whatever that thing is that has to face the sky, some sort of antenna, GPS or something. We'll just mount it right there. So it looks like a T25 or T30. I'll confirm in a second. Cody already knows it's a T30. So it's a T30 bolt. Pop it off, we'll mount our horn right to it. And our front harness. So the front harness here, it goes to both sides of the lights and the horn. So we'll get that laid out in the machine. There's 3 branches. You got a right, a left, and then the horn. They're all labeled. Of course, right and left is when you're sitting in the vehicle, not when you're staring at the front of it. So you don't want to put it in backwards. So run the right to the right side. We'll get the left over here. Yeah, well, we'll take that fender off. There's no way you're going to get to that fucking light with your arms. So what I like to do is I start in the middle, and I route the harness and weave it underneath and over everything to get over there. So we want to tuck our module down here below the pulse bar. So we'll send our horn harness over first. Follow this factory harness up there that goes to that antenna underneath this air filter. Must be a cabin air filter. Clearly, if you need that filter change, you gotta take your fender off, so must be a common removal item on these with its 47 bolts. So polarity doesn't matter. As long as you get the metal tabs in the spades, you're good. It's easy to get one of them off centered, and then We won't have a horn. And we'll run our light section up the same way. It's easy to get tangled around all of our other stuff in here. Now we're going to go this one, we're going to go down behind the headlight because we got to plug into this front light here. And then our other light will be over on the side there. So we'll get down here. And we'll feed that one up. So what we do is you ran it up by the headlight, so that way it's plugged in behind here and there's no harness hanging down. Then this other one will plug into the other side, or the other side marker when we put this fender on. So I'm going to pop this fender off. We'll show you how to do it. You'll need a T30 and a T40. Plus there's 2 pop rivets we got to get off on this column. So you got to take the pillar cover off. These 2 pop rivets. And up front it snaps in at this crease. Just want to kind of pull the pillar cover away from the outside and gently pry. And it snaps right off of there. There's some mounting tabs and some slots there for that. And then underneath the other one there, you need a T40 to get that bolt out. Just pry that back a little bit. It's nice soft plastic. And on the inside of the cab here, we have another 4 T40 bolts on the pillar. Then we get down here in the wheel well, there's 4 more bolts that are T30. And we got a T40 here. Back and forth. We love how they mix the fastener sizes on each part. And there's another one up here. Headlight, there's one more T40 up here. And so it's a little tight up here getting this one out that they insisted on using. So if you get a ratchet in there, find the right angle, put the ratchet on the right direction.
Oh, fine.
There we go. She's coming out. That's right. When I watch these how-to videos, I like seeing the bloopers because then I don't feel so dumb when I'm like, what?
Yeah. Literally. There we go.
Like, okay, good. These guys that are doing it on the video did struggle.
Yeah. Just so you know.
Just so you know. It was not easy and perfect for us either. We won't even show them all the stuff we took out of the dash for no reason.
Their job will be way faster.
Right. Then up here we got 2 more T40 bolts. I promise we're almost done. And lastly, there are 2 quick rivets down here behind the reflector. Those will be fun because those are aftermarket ones I put in because I fucking lost them or they didn't come with this machine or something.
Boom. Wow. Seem like they're fucking locked in there. That's for sure.
Oh, they're supposed to be direct replacements, but they're fucking different. They're one-time use only on these folks. We do have some authentic Polaris ones to put back in.
There.
I should be able to pull the fender right off. Right above the headlight there are some clips that kind of lock it in place. And then down at the bottom it sets in there, so we'll pull it out from the top first and lift up. There we go. So it's a little daunting task, but it's not that bad to actually pull that fender off of there. We're gonna drill our hole in the fender for the light, mount the light, and then put the fender back on. It's really the only reason we took it off was to get this light on there and get your hand back here because you can't. There's no way you can reach your arm down here and plug that light in. So unfortunately, you gotta take it off, but at least you get to see all the cool crap they put underneath here. All right, put this fender on. First thing you want to do is make sure you plug in your light and tuck the harness up in there. Be a fun day to get done and remember after the fact. Maybe you forgot to plug the light in. So first you want to get this tab down in here. Then the next fun spot is up here. So this plastic tab right here sandwiches between these 2 down here. So to make sure you're in between them. Once you get that in, then you can focus on up here. Get this under the pillar cover. And you're mostly home free. Up on the front of the headlight, there's 2 plastic tabs that kind of lock in. Get that other one. Top right one's not in there yet. Pull it back and then get this. There we go. There it is. There it is. And now we gotta hook down. Something down here too, I think. Oh, we got her. Yep. Once you get on it, it'll sit under nice, but there's a couple tricky spots. You want to make sure down here this tab is good to go. Up under the headlight, like I said, there's 2 slots. There's one over here and there's one up here. If you don't get them in, it won't go on all the way. You gotta get underneath here. And then down here, sometimes this stuff catches on other pieces of plastic. But now we can start putting our bolts back in. We'll start with our T40s first. There's 4 on the inside of the door pillar. You got 1 right here you can easily see. Yeah, there's one tucked up back here.
Well, I got that light ran right through there too. So it's real close to that light.
Oh.
So it's hard to get my hand.
No problem.
Yeah, I ran it in different spots.
Oh. So I think Phil usually edits out the parts where we're struggling forever and makes it look like we hammered it.
Yeah. I have to watch the video. That was my tensioner.
Oh yeah. Usually when it's doing tension or something, they do stuff backwards once in a while just because of how our physics works with the force on it, and the vibrations can make it go the wrong way or some dumb shit. Or tie rod ends, or one's right hand and one's left hand because they have to be able to adjust it like a turnbuckle, and you're like, oh, I don't know which fucking end this was. The last three, we got one here. We ain't done yet. Look, I finally got that bolt and I'm all done for the day.
I just forgot about those three.
Yep. We got the super secret one underneath the pillow cover.
Try to grab it out of there so it's spin around. The hook.
That's all the T40s. We'll do our quick rivets. We got two down here. Our pillar cover snaps back on. You just push straight in on the bottom, it'll clip in there. There's three clips up front to push in, and one at the bottom. What's in there?
There.
Yeah. And then your two quicker rivets inside. Then last, you should have your four T30 bolts here. You got three going up, and there's one hiding up in here. Pop the extension on. Push in on the front of their knee or something to get it lined up.
It's just at a downward angle.
There you go. Oh, it's down. Turn the key on, turn the wheel right. Or left. Oh, probably left. Sounded worse than it was. Electric steering.
That's very nice.
You got a little angle wrong. those are less obvious.
Yeah.
They're just self-tapped in the fucking plastic. At whatever angle the guy in the factory did it from. All right, now we'll plug our module in. We'll tuck it down underneath the pulse bar. We'll plug it all in first and then kind of zip tie it all up.
What the hell am I doing?
I was wondering. Just tuck it all down in there. And fold the cable over on itself if we have to.
Just put the extra in there.
Yep. I'll usually run some zip ties around like the cables to make it like a bunch. There's some more over here. And some big ones. Oh, we got big. There's bigs, the little ones are. So once you plug in your module, the front light should come on. We have these programmed to be running lights. And you should be able to see our dash indicator works. Our front left, left rear, flashing the taillight. There you got horn on the end. Got a right blinker. Right light flashing. One other feature of our kit is our module is programmed after 45 seconds to auto cancel the lights. There we go. So now the lever's still in the up position, but all your lights are off, so you're not accidentally driving on the road forgetting to cancel your turn signal. All you got to do is reset it to neutral, and either direction works again. And then pull on this metal bracket. You have your hazards, and these don't time out after 45 seconds. Only the turn signals do. So if you're parked on the side of the road with your hazards on, they'll stay on the whole time. You cancel hazards, you just flip your lever up or down. Another product we're coming out with soon for these is a backup light kit. We have our module. This one hasn't been molded in our machine yet because I was testing it to make sure it worked. Because these Polarises, they have two different CAN networks. Seems all the fancier ones like the Expedition and this Ranger are on the newer CAN network, and all the old ones like the Polaris Sportsman, Smaller Rangers, Generals, Razors, etc. are all on the older CAN network. But this plugs right in your diagnostic port. And we have a cable that'll go out to a light bar. Another cable will go out to a switch so you can manually turn them on to use them as a work light. So we'll show this working in a second here. So we have this plugged into the diagnostic port. It's the only spot in the vehicle you actually have to interface with. It's just sitting on the seat here. See, put it in reverse, immediately comes on. Take it out of reverse, and goes off. So reverse, park, reverse, drive. So it comes on automatically. And also for the override, we have it set up where it actually gets battery power from the USB or from the diagnostic port. So you can manually turn on even with the key off, so you can use it as a work light. Now this particular Ranger 1500 comes equipped with a backup light, so I know that's an option. But if you want a brighter light, or you want to mount one down here in the back of your bed, your box, you can do that. Otherwise, on the Ranger 1000s, we use some bolt holes that mount to the cab. These look like they're spaced about the same way in the back of the windshield, so you could mount right to the back windshield with our 21-inch light bar. Yes, on this one, the brackets are about the same distance, the bolts are about the same distance apart, so you could mount our light bar here. And so that's another option we'll have coming soon. We got to make some more of the modules and get them molded. For the factory one, it does have an override switch as well. Up here. The only problem is you have to have the key on to use it. So if you're wanting to, if you're loading firewood or something up, or gutting a deer, whatever else you do with a bed of a big truck like this, with ours you can turn the switch on and continue to use the light with key off, so you're not wasting any extra battery than you have to.